Shanaz Human, and I want to welcome you to our Opulence Global Product Crossfire call tonight. Tonight we have a very, very special call in store for all of our viewers, and I want to welcome our very, very special guests that are joining us this evening. This evening I have a very special guest with me. Of course, he is no stranger to all of you. You've seen him in our conferences, you've seen him in all of our trainings, and of course you've got a chance to meet him. But I'm just going to actually pull up the slides so that I can give him the proper introduction. Let me see if I can pull this slide up. Carl, can you see the slide of you?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome a very, very special man to our call tonight. His name is Carl, and he is absolutely our Microsilver specialist. He's from BioGate. This is a phenomenal company that started to research and initiate in 1995 in Germany. I'm going to let Carl tell you a little bit more about it, but the company was founded in 2000. What is really, really amazing, you ladies and gentlemen have heard this, but I want to reiterate it one more time. The Microsilver that we're using, that you're going to hear all about tonight, the Microsilver BG, actually has 85 international patents to it, with 5 PhD employees that work in the company in creation and development and formulation when it comes to this absolutely phenomenal and revolutionary Microsilver product. Of course, one of the biggest things that Carl's going to be talking to you about is the Microsilver is focused on antimicrobial solutions and testing services, and he's going to talk a lot about it when it comes to skincare, when it comes to cosmetics, when it comes to oral and personal care, when it's used in, of course, Microsilver is used in medical devices, wound care, technical applications. So the list goes on and on, but you know what? I don't want to steal his thunder. We have our very, very special guest on the call tonight. So I want to pass the call over to Carl to be able to take it over. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I'm going to bring up the slides, Carl, so we'll continue. Don't worry. I'll sort of ask you all the questions what everyone has. So good night, Carl, and welcome to our call.
Hello, Shanaz. Hello, David. Thank you very much for having me this evening, and hello to everyone else all over the world. A pleasure to be with you tonight, and look forward to trying to provide you with some information on the Microsilver and answer any questions that you may have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I want to just welcome my partner in crime at the office that I go hand in hand with, and we work with, and of course takes care of all of your questions behind the scenes. David O. Good night, David, and welcome to the call as well.
Hi, Shanaz. Hi, Carl. How's everyone tonight?
Awesome. So tell all of you, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit about David as well. David, of course, works on regulatory affairs in the office, does all of your, of course, research, works behind the scenes, but absolutely instrumental, full of knowledge and power. He always says, don't say how many decades, but he's got over 3 decades experience when it comes to, of course, scientific biology, oncology background. He is absolutely like a textbook. He's one of those students, I think, that everything that he ever studied in university, he remembered it because he can recite it back to you. He's just so full of knowledge. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing call in store for you. So Carl, let's get the call started with you because I know everyone has been on the edge of their seats, anxious to hear from you. But you know, the Microsilver product, there's different types of Microsilver. First of all, let's get that out of the way when it comes to the Microsilver that your company provides for us in the development, in the creation. There's been lots of research, over a decade of research that's gone into it. You guys got 85 patents when it comes to this Microsilver product. So talk to me a little bit about this phenomenal, revolutionary Microsilver product that we're using in our Fairy Flawless and in the products that we launched at the product conference.
Sure. Okay. So thank you. Yes, there are many different silvers out there, but we have the only Microsilver. So I'll make sure we note that. So most of the silvers are either chemical silver compounds or they're nano or small colloidal silver products. What differentiates our technology is that number one, It's 100% pure silver powder, so it's not a chemical compound, and it's produced in a wholly physical process with no other chemicals involved. It's pure silver in, pure silver out. And the key to the technology is that we're using large particles that are 10 microns in size, and these don't penetrate your skin and mucosa tissue. So they stay on top of your skin, and in doing so, they fight the unwanted bacteria that is on top of your skin without harming your good microbiome or your good resident bacteria, which resides deeper in your skin and is basically expressed to the top of the surface. So that's the key to the technology. Number one, pure silver, and it's large particles that only affect the unwanted germs and don't harm our good bacteria, which is called your microflora.
Perfect. So Carl, I'm going to rewind a little bit, and I want to just share with our audience, since we have a lot of new people, the slides that you're seeing right in front. And of course, I know the history of silver is also important. Can you talk to me a little bit about the history?
Sure. So many people have used silver already for a very long period of time. It already started in the Persian Empire, and Cyrus, the founder of the Persian Empire, was using silver water-lined casks to help improve the water and kill any bacteria that was in the water. And already in the Wild West, in the American Wild West, people used to put little silver coins into milk to keep that fresher for a longer period of time. Napoleon's army also used silver coins. The actual antimicrobial activity of silver was scientifically described for the first time already by Carl from Nagelai, who lived from 1817 to 1891. And then lastly, in World War I, French soldiers at the Serbian front had water canteens that were lined with silver. And these were the only soldiers that didn't suffer from any kind of waterborne illness. So silver has been really used for a long period of time, and is available in many different forms. What we've just done is basically improved upon the delivery method, made it more pure, made it all natural, and have a unique technology. As far as safety of silver, it's also been used for a very long period of time. So for example, if you had a head injury due to a war or some industrial accident, you would receive reconstructive surgery using a metal plate out of pure silver. And that's, of course, right in your skull. And anything that's close to your brain is very critical, because your brain is highly susceptible to toxicity. But all these people live normal lives and had no issues. So pure silver is highly biocompatible. And many people, or in many different countries, are using silver eye drops for newborn babies to prevent any blindness that may be caused from bacteria through the birthing process.
Wow.
So yeah, so and you know, some interesting points about silver too, it's the most broad spectrum, meaning it kills the most number of germs. It attacks in multiple ways. So for that reason, it's not creating resistant bacteria. If you've ever heard in the news or read in the papers, you know, all these problems existing in the hospitals with these multi-resistant germs, well, those are created by bacteria that have one method of working, and then the bacteria builds a resistance to that, basically rendering that antibiotic completely useless. But silver, working in different ways to kill bacteria, doesn't generate these resistant germs. And that's one of the main reasons why there's a huge trend in the medical community towards using silver and reducing the use of antibiotics.
So Carl, I want to just reiterate something one more time, because I'm just going to stop sharing this so everyone can just see your screen. So one of the things I wanted to reiterate, Carl, is, you know, when it comes to microsilver and when it comes to silver, we know that it's been for years and years on end. It's been around. And of course, as evolution has happened and technology has happened, your company has really sort of mastered the craft of creating a product that, of course, has the 85 patents to it. And I do want to reiterate that the silver that we are using is very different and is the best and highest grade that there is in the world when it comes to development, creation, foundation, research, and that's one of the key factors I do want to talk a little bit about.
Yes, it's totally different. I mean, if we go to some of the other slides and show how it's made, one of the ways that we're making it is through the evaporation of pure medical grade silver. So number one, we start with highly refined medical grade silver, and then we vaporize that at over 2,000 degrees Celsius using a plasma arc and a vacuum chamber. And it's this unique process that took over 10 years to develop by the largest German applied research organization. They do about 2 billion euros of research on an annual basis. So it's basically a spin-off from this company that created the manufacturing process. And it's pure.
Is this what you're talking about, Carl?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So that's how we're creating it. It's the pure silver in, the pure silver out. And then the key to this patented technology is that we develop these highly porous particles, which you can see on the next slide. And if you just go one slide further, here you see it, and that's what took so long to develop. So most of the silvers that you might have heard of, you know, people are familiar with nano silver or colloidal silver. They use many, many, many small particles, kind of like a bag of marbles, that creates a huge surface area. Whereas we're using a big sponge. You have just as much surface area because of the structure of the particle, but the overall particle is very large, and that's how we differentiate our product. We have the huge surface area, some of the small particles, but it's an overall large particle that sits on the skin and stays where you want it to stay to fight the unwanted bacteria. And you can see, you know, I'm not going to go through all this list, but we have many, many approvals. It is actually, in fact, the only silver that is certified by EcoCert in Europe, as well as the Natural Products Association. And those are certifications that allow you to use the silver in natural cosmetics, or basically to call the silver completely natural, which is unique.
Beautiful. And so, Carl, I do want to talk a little bit about this as well, because, you know, the Microsilver BG, I want to talk a little bit about some of the marketplace experiences as well, and why this is such a vital product.
Sure. So one nice thing too is that, you know, when you compare our silver to other silvers, you know, there's a couple other silver companies that might have 1, 2, or 3 or 4 customers, but nobody, to my knowledge, has anywhere close to what we have. We have 150 customers in skincare, personal care, oral care. We also have 10 products that are medical device class 3 approved wound care products, burn care products. And it's used in over 35 countries, and it's been on the market since 2005. So we have a lot of scientific data that backs up the safety and the efficacy of the technology. And we also have a lot of experience from the market that shows that these Microsilver products are highly successful in the marketplace, and we have an expanding list of customers. What's unique for you guys is that my Opulence is the only company in North America in the direct sales category that has Microsilver. So that sets you aside from all the other companies and gives you a really great competitive advantage to make the most out of this technology, which is already proven from a marketability, from a sales, and from an efficacy standpoint, and really gives you some unique characteristics for your own customers.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that a little bit. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the call, if you're a customer, this is really important to understand that, you know, we always want to be innovative and bring out the best products that are in the market, and of course be unique in our raw materials and our research. And we're extremely proud that Opulence of course, is the only direct sales at network marketing, MLM, whatever you go by, company in North America with Microsilver. And the reason we say North America, of course, is because this product was developed in Europe. Of course, it's all across Europe. We know that Europe has some of the best products as well. And Carl, I don't know how vast this has grown into markets like Singapore or Africa, because those are some of the markets that we cater to as well. But I think we're one of the only that's really distributing a lot into those regions such as Africa and Singapore and abroad as well. I'm not talking about Europe. I'm talking about all the other regions.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. You're definitely unique in Africa and Singapore as well. If there's anyone from South America, I mean, we have a couple customers in Mexico and one in Brazil, but throughout the rest of Central America or South America, no other customers. So that would make you unique. I know you have a lot of customers on the islands, and there's definitely no other Microsilver products on the islands as well.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, because Carl, we know that in business, when you're a pioneer and when you go out there and you start to promote and you have a product that nobody else has, you really have a product that you have no competition to, and you literally have the world as your oyster to go out there and to dominate with an amazing, powerful agent such as this Microsilver product. I want to talk a little bit about one of the products that we have, Carl. This was, of course, our Microsilver BG, when it comes to our quad AG. And ladies and gentlemen, we know that many of you are using this and benefiting from this. You got actually a little too creative with this product. I know David reads the stories and he kind of goes, dope. It's made for skincare, but you got really fancy with it, using it as deodorant and in between your toes. And, Carl, they're using it everywhere. You can they get cuts and bruises, or putting it on their kids. Of course, this was made by our master formulator, Tom, to be able to give you beautiful skin, to give you healthy skin, to get rid of bacteria by using the Microsilver. Carl, talk to me a little bit about this. Of course, you know what's in this formulation. And then, of course, we know that a lot of our customers are getting very creative, and this is why we've expanded our lineup of Microsilver. If you remember, my original vision with you was to be able to develop a whole line and slew with, of course, the Microsilver BG to be able to incorporate. But talk to me a little bit about what you know with this product.
Sure. So I guess one of the good points that is right up there, first thing to know is that the vast majority of all skin-related issues are due to bacteria. So in the case of the Flawless, we're highly focusing on acne and skin blemishes and so on, but even dermatitis, atopic dermatitis, rosacea, and other skin-related issues are all due to bacteria. And the fact that we have the Microsilver, which is the most broad-spectrum antimicrobial agent, it will kill all of these different bacteria, and it'll stay on top of the skin. What's also nice is, if you recall that porous structure, it physically will stay on your skin for a very long period of time until you wash it off. You won't be able to see it on your skin, but it'll be there. And especially in something like this, as a night serum, once you clean your face with the face wash and you remove all your makeup and so on, it's a whole regimen. First, you got to clean and prepare the skin, and then you put on the Very Flawless Quad AG, and you'll have the whole night for the Microsilver to have its activity. So unlike most antimicrobials, if you have like a triclosan or other antimicrobials, they basically penetrate your skin. They go in, they harm your skin flora, they do nothing for your skin, and they're quickly lost and have no longevity. This here has longevity where you want it, on top of the skin for 4 to 5 hours until you physically remove it. And in the case of the night serum, it's working all night until you wake up in the morning. So it really gives your skin a great cleansing of the bacteria. It helps with all of those blemishes, and it's a phenomenal product. And of course, there's many other ingredients that are in the product that work synergistically with the Microsilver that Tom has put into the formula, so that you really awake in the morning with beautiful skin and ready for your morning cleanser and day cream.
Of course. Thank you so much for that. And of course, Carl, I just want to read, by the way, if you guys do have some questions, please do type them into the message box. Although we're using a PowerPoint and giving you some powerful information tonight, we still want to answer and address any questions that you may have. I'll read some fun comments for you, Carl. One of them comes in from Nora, says, my grandson calls it the skin healer because of course, I know in a lot of families, they are actually using it on cuts and burns and bruises. And of course, although this is made as a skincare product and a skincare regimen with the microsilver and of course, being antibacterial, many people are using it. Vernisha says, this is one of my favorites, the night serum, skin and age saver for sure. Ronan also says the best skin healer in the world. So we know that many of you are definitely enjoying the microsilver. And of course, Carl, that was one of the big things that we did talk a lot about at the product conference. And that was one of the big things that we wanted to move forward with as Opulence Global. We first started with our regimen. We incorporated a microsilver Quad AG product, but we started to create more and more products to be able to, of course, have a stronger lineup. We had many people that were traveling to hot tropical countries and they started to put the Quad AG under their armpits because they found that they would not sweat or there would be no odor. And talk to me a little bit about, we know that it definitely works well on bacteria. So talk to me, and by the way, for those of you, just before you answer that, if you also don't want to do a public question, you can also do a private message, which I will leave anonymous and will not read your name. And you could also ask us those questions as we have our expert panel on tonight's call. So please go ahead, Carl.
Sure. So yes. So about the odor, of course, a lot of bacteria is what causes the odor. So when you first sweat, the sweat itself is sterile. It has no issues with it. But what it does is it provides the nutrients for bacteria on your skin to basically consume and to multiply. And when they're multiplying and consuming the sweat and of course the moisture, especially under the arms, it's a moist, warm environment. That's when it creates the bacteria, and in doing so, they release the suitor, which is basically the foul odor smell that you smell over time. So the silver will help with basically eliminating the bacteria that are multiplying and thereby reduce the odor. And that's the whole premise.
And the other thing as well, Carl, we know that a lot of young children and of course growing teenagers and ladies and men both, it's not just a man or woman problem, it's a unisex problem when it comes to, of course, acne, rosacea, and this is something that I have a phenomenal testimonial on this from one of my cousins actually. She suffered from severe acne. And she would try all the home remedies. She would make masks. She would use everything. She would cleanse her face, but she was also prone to acne-prone skin. And since using our two products, cleanser and the Quad AG, her skin has changed, 180. She is so proud. She does not wear any more makeup. And I want to talk also a little bit about acne and rosacea and the research and really what the Quad AG does.
Yeah, so we've done with several products studies, or even customers have done studies on the microsilver, and we've seen very, very good effects, of course, because it's killing all the bacteria that's on top of the skin. I mean, especially when you think of pimples, that's a lot of people will start to puncture, push them, pop them, and now you have a small wound on your skin, which allows more bacteria to go deeper into the skin. It also spreads the bacteria that was in that pustule all over your face. So by using the microsilver in those cases, you'll get rid of the bacteria that you just put all over your face, and it can be used in those minor wounds as well to help improve the situation. So it's definitely very good in an acne-related application. And rosacea is very similar. you know, rosacea is a medical condition, and if you have severe rosacea, you might need to look at some drugs as well. But for the most part, it's a bacteria-related disease. And many people, when they're older, they say, "Oh, I still have adult acne," but actually, it's in many cases is actually rosacea, and it's being misdiagnosed as acne. So in both cases, though, they're bacteria-related issues and can receive some dramatic improvement from microsilver-based skincare products like the Quad AG formulation.
Okay, so can you talk to me a little bit about the European Journal of Acne that was related to disease as well? That's sort of, you talked a little bit about this, but we can reiterate a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So this is an example of some scientists in Italy that created a product with the main active ingredient for acne being the microsilver. And then they did an independent study, and it was actually a peer-reviewed study, and then published in the European Journal of Acne and Related Diseases. And you just see the one summary page here, but I think you can see from the pictures on there, it's a dramatic improvement in the condition of the skin. And from the graphs, it's hard to really distinguish what's happening, but you can see a continuous reduction in papules and pustules over time, which is really good. So not only is it taking care of the acne spots, but it's also acting as a preventative maintenance, which is key, right? So what you don't want to do is just use it when you have an acne outbreak on your face. You want to use it on an ongoing basis to make it as a preventative maintenance routine to help improve the skin over time.
Perfect. And the other thing as well is that this was absolutely amazing. I remember when you and I initially sat down and you showed us this. I mean, I was absolutely blown away with it, and I want to talk a little bit about this too.
Sure. So this is a study, again, in Europe, and it was published in the Cosmetic Medicine magazine. And what this is it was several patients, I believe it was 30 patients that were suffering from atopic dermatitis, which is a skin-related bacterial issue. And the study was performed over 4 weeks, and there's a standardized skin scoring protocol called the SCORAD index, which was used. And to have a 57% improvement in the score is phenomenal. What's also really interesting is that no patient experienced a colonization with Staph aureus during the 4 weeks. So these people who have these continuous outbreaks of atopic dermatitis usually get a lot of Staph aureus colonizations and issues, and not a single patient had this problem. What's also nice to know about this is that the use level was 0.1% microsilver in this product. And in trying to make the absolute best product and the most high-end product possible, Sanaz and her team put in 0.2% in the Quad AG serum. So it's double the power of microsilver in this product, which is really phenomenal. And if you look at these pictures here at the bottom of the screen, day 1, 14, 28, the only way that you'll typically receive those kind of improvements is if you're using a steroid-based product. And steroids are, of course, on a prolonged basis, not good for your skin, not good for your health, and you want to avoid them as much as possible. So this product, microsilver alone as the active, no steroids, and dramatic results.
Carl, this is so amazing, and this is exciting. So if you're excited, type me, I am excited in the message box, because, for us, it was about going above and beyond. And of course, when it came to the creation and the development of this, we wanted to make sure that we gave you the best of the best. Listen to what Carl just said. I'm going to reiterate it again, because when it comes to raw materials, when it comes to ingredients, of course, Carl, the more you use, the more you got to pay for it, the more that it costs the company. But we wanted to give you something above and beyond that has been in the market. So as Carl mentioned, look at these improvements with 0.1. Yours has double that value in the product that you use every day on your skin, on the product that you distribute to your customers. So be proud of the product that you have in Opulence, because when we say, living an opulent lifestyle, having opulent products means putting the best of the best. And that's why it was important for me to be able to have, of course, Carl on the call. Carl, of course, with what you're showing me with this case study, you know, more than 69%, that's more than half already have already seen either very good or good results. So of course, when it comes to point two, they should have, of course, amazing and exceptional results.
Yeah. Should also point out that 70% of the people have very good results, and these are people with severe skin issues. So that's pretty good. It's not normal everyday skin.
Yeah, and you know, Carl, another big pointer I think that David and I work on every day is to make products that are safe for the entire family. And one of the things that you said that really hits home for me is, of course, we know that cortisone, you know, almost numbs or whatever it does to your immune system, but it's not good for you. And cortisone is not good. And unfortunately, a lot of young children, a lot of young teenagers have to use cortisone on their skin in order to get rid of acne or skin issues. And of course, as they age, it's not good for their hormones, it's not good for their body, it's not good for their bone density. And of course, you know, one of the things that this Microsilver does, being an all-natural product, it is safe for kids, teenagers, and adults, of course, to use. So that really makes me happy.
Yes, definitely safe for the whole family from young to old. I think the next slide might even talk to that a little bit. Yes, here we go. So this is another study on people with some kind of inflammatory issue, which means someone who has atopic eczema or who has psoriasis or some kind of atopic dermatitis. And if you look at the slide, you'll see it's 102 patients. That's very good. Most studies are only about 20 people, so this is 102 people. And you can see from the age range, it was from 1-year-old baby to an 86-year-old individual. And the key with this study is that all of these people were on some kind of steroid-based product, and in 93% of the cases, these people elected themselves to discontinue their steroids and continue with the Microsilver emollient. So that's very, very good.
Beautiful. I love that. And I think that's really, really important as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I do want to let you know that I am going to get to your questions. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure all your questions are answered. We have, we're going to have hopefully many more nights of Microsilver night, as everyone loves listening to you, Carl. And of course, this was another part as well of 22 patients suffering from the management. So I'll get you to talk about that. I can't even pronounce that word.
Sure. So the initial slides were more or less just showing some of the efficacy on skincare and some of the original products that were developed in conjunction with Tom Heiner and the whole development team with Sanaz. And then getting into the new products that are being launched, of course, oral care and toothpaste was one of the products. And one of the studies that we have is performed at a university clinic, and it was using patients that are suffering from periodontitis, basically a lot of gum bleeding, gum issues, and they used the product with a daily cleaning of their teeth for 6 weeks, and they measured all the key indices that are typically studied in an oral care study, which is the plaque index, how much plaque do I have on my teeth, the bleeding on probing index, that's the SBI, gingivia index, and the halometer. So halitosis being, again, bad breath or bad odor. And then the results were on the next slide. So if we can just move there, here we can see that there was a significant improvement in the inflammatory parameters. So not only was it killing bacteria, but it also helped to reduce the inflammation. And inflammation is at the root cause of all skin-related issues. When they're inflamed, they need to be calmed down, otherwise the skin won't heal. And not only did it help with the inflammation, but it killed the key germs that are responsible for caries or basically for cavities. And if you think about the toothpaste again, most toothpaste, they'll have some kind of a water-soluble ingredient. That means an ingredient that dissolves in water. And as soon as you put it in your mouth, you use it, you spit it out, either some of it goes down into your stomach or you spit it out right away. But with the Microsilver, it's a dry silver particle. You're brushing your teeth, especially into the gums, and some of it will be retained in the gums and will be there so that even once you're finished brushing your teeth, it can help improve the condition of your gums, and that's very important.
Well, you know, Carl, when it comes to talking about this, I do want to talk a little bit about, ladies and gentlemen, the reason we're teaching you this new material and we're sharing, of course, the attributes of microsilver is because of some of the new products that we are developing. And Carl, I want to just continue this because I think, of course, oral care is a huge part of our daily regimen for the entire family. And of course, it's very, very important. And sometimes just even the inflammation in the gums, even some people could be, you know, brushing their teeth 2-3 times a day after meals, but based on genes, based on their gums, based on their environment, based on their water, they suffer. So it's really important to make sure they have a good dental hygiene. And I think a lot of people are just not aware of that. And we just want to educate and pour it on there, how important it is.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people have had issues in other organs of their bodies because of an infection that initiated in the mouth. So let's say you have a root canal or you have another issue in the mouth. Bad oral hygiene can lead to substantial issues in other parts of your bodies. That's well documented. You can look at that on the internet all over the place. So oral hygiene is critical. And the microsilver has also been used already in root canal filling material. So it's already used in medical devices in the mouth for long-lasting root canal filling material. What you see on the slide right now, that's interesting as well. So this is a study. It's based on substantivity or retention. And basically, any antimicrobial that you have will only work as long as it's there. And the idea of substantivity is to measure how long is that ingredient on the teeth or in the dental plaque. And this was done at a university dental clinic. It was a study, and the whole idea was, let's measure how much of the microsilver we see in the dental plaque in different time periods and compare that to the antimicrobials that are used in some of the major toothpaste brands, and that you'll see on the next page. So on the next page, you can see that the amount of microsilver that was retained in comparison from 2 hours when measured and then after 14 hours, so in that different time period, we retained almost 25% of the microsilver that was originally in the product. And the other toothpaste brand, which is one of the number 1 or number 2 in the world, it's using another ingredient, it's a chemical compound, they only had about 12% retained in the dental plaque after 14 hours. And the problem with that is that is a chemical that is already being used at its absolute highest level because it is not as effective. It's being banned in Japan. It's not allowed in any new products in the United Kingdom. There's concern with it going into the waste and into our environment. And it affects the good bacteria, resident skin flora. Whereas on the other side, the microsilver, it's natural. It's a lower use level. No issues in the environment. No skin penetration. It's a broader action spectrum, means it kills even more germs, more different germs than the other competitor. And ours is used in wound care and implants and medical devices, whereas the other product cannot be used in those at all. It's not safe enough for that. So I think it's a real testament, this study, to that our product is where it needs to be, and it's a much better product.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Carl. And the other thing as well, when it comes to continuing with toothpaste, mouthwash, of course, some people had talked about their veneers, if they could use their toothpaste on it. Let's talk about that quickly because I want to go to some questions as well.
Definitely. You can use it on your veneers. You can use it to also brush the retainer of your child, or you can use it on dentures as well. What this one photo is showing is that we actually incorporated the microsilver into the retainer, right into the polymer. We infused it into the polymer, and let teenagers use it for 6 months. And even after 6 months, you can see the sample with the microsilver had basically no bacteria on that, even after such a long period of use. Whereas the untreated sample, basically the retainer was cut in half of it was with silver, half of it was without silver. The other half had lots of bacteria. And then here you see also a picture of the root canal filling material, which is a medical device, FDA approved product and European Union approved product as well. So a lot of testament to the science behind microsilver and oral care.
Love it. So of course, let's talk a little bit about, we talked a little bit about the toothbrush and the deodorant. By the way, I'm going to be doing maybe a little release at the end of the call. So don't go anywhere. Keep on listening in.
Oh.
Because of course, Carl, this was also a big, huge part of, you know, switching channels a little bit. We talked a little bit about oral care, dental care, of course, dental hygiene. You reiterated something that was really key, that a lot of causes to a lot of our organs and our bodies and our diseases and comes actually from the mouth. Like when people have oral mouth disease, it leads to other organ function failures, sort of. And so the other part of it is also talking a little bit about the biology behind the body odor as well, as we've come to develop some amazing deodorants for both men and women. Talk to me a little bit about the composite, basically the biology behind body odor.
Sure. So again, you know, the sweat is produced by our glands. It's completely sterile. It's odor-free, but it creates the ideal food source for the bacteria that is in our underarms or other areas of our body. And the food source, in combination with the warmth and the humidity in those areas, is what the bacteria needs to basically multiply. And in multiplying, they're releasing or metabolizing suitor components and releasing the smelly components like proteins and lipids. So it's the process by which they're basically replicating that is creating this odor. And with using the microsilver, you're able to basically kill the bacteria that's causing these odors. So it's very effective in anti-odor applications.
Beautiful. And I love this. And I think this is so key. And I think, Carl, this was one of the reasons that we really invested into developing and creating a phenomenal deodorant, because we knew that with a Microsilver Quad AG, although it was created for the face and we sold it as a, you know, great skincare regimen, people started to put it on their armpits and traveling. You know, a lot of people who had athlete's feet, they started to put it in between their toes, and they started to see a difference in odor, but as well as cleanliness when it comes to their skin.
Yeah, so here's a perfect example. It's just showing some of the bacteria that's results for the foul odor smells. There are many more. This is just a couple of them. And again, the key thing is, which you'll see on the next slide actually too, is you need a product that's broad effective and has broad effectiveness. So that's the first bullet point there. We need to be able to kill gram-positive, gram-negative germs, and the microsilver is able to do that. So it kills this odor-generating bacteria. It's safe. It's non-toxic. Especially one thing to maybe consider also for women, if you are shaving your underarms, you might get a little nick or a little scratch from the razor. And again, the microsilver, the product is not, you know, for wound care, but the microsilver in these products will help to take care of any nicks or cuts, which is an area where you could have more bacteria go into the body and create an infection. So it'll help to reduce the risk, and it's very good for that as well.
Perfect.
And again, natural and friendly.
What is the age that someone could be using this?
Well, it's an all-natural product, so basically you can use it as soon as you have odor. There's no age limitations at all. Typically, you know, kids don't start smelling as bad until maybe they start to hit around maybe 8, 9, or 10. Usually before 10, it's not required. I'm sorry?
I said, and then they get really stinky, especially young boys that don't like to change their shirt, that refuse to take showers. You know, I don't have any kids, but some of my girlfriends, when I sometimes go over to their house, you know, they got little boys, 8, 9 years old, and they come to give me a big hug, and I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, wow, maybe we were at that young age. So I think, I told them a lot about this deodorant. I told them that it's safe for kids. They're very, very excited because they know there's a lot of bad deodorants out in the market that are harmful, much the same like toothbrushes. It's so sad that so many things are approved to be on the shelves. And I know David and I were talking about this, but one of the things that I'm so proud of our product line, that it is safe for the entire family. It is non-toxic, ladies and gentlemen, and that's really, really key. Imagine having a safe, non-toxic product that you can give to your family that actually works, and it's also eco-friendly and natural. And Carl, I'm so ecstatic about this. And of course, I will have some questions for you.
Okay, great. No, it works very well.
Awesome. So let's go to this. And of course, when it comes to sort of wrapping it up, when it comes to skincare, oral, and of course, deodorant.
Sure, yeah. So this is kind of summarizing the key points again. Again, the microsilver in the Fairy Flawless Quad AG serum, it basically helps to improve and rejuvenate the skin, eliminates curtains and the unwanted bacteria and organisms, maintains a healthy skin flora, and what it's really doing is basically boosting the skin's natural defenses, and it's promoting healthy and beautiful skin. On the side of the oral care, it's been used in toothpaste, mouthwashes. It's in oral mucosa wound gels. So many people, for example, who are undergoing radiation chemotherapy treatment have massive sores in their mouth. And there are microsilver products that are in the marketplace specifically to address that. So again, it's a testament to the efficacy and the safety of the product. And then as far as anti-odor protection, it's being used in deodorants, it's being used in oral care against halitosis, which is basically bad breath. Foot care, we even have it in some applications for incontinence care as well. So definitely very effective in all of these product ranges.
Perfect, I love it. So ladies and gentlemen, of course, I just want to reiterate some of the things that Carl was just talking about when it comes to our product line, when it comes to development and creation. One thing I know that all of you just listening to this training, you're going to want every product with microsilver in it. You're going to want shampoo, you're going to want lotions and potions, and of course, every part to be able to have a healthier lifestyle. And I'm going to get to what we are developing and creating for you. But tonight, of course, having Carl, I wanted to reiterate some of the products that we are developing. Of course, what we've been able to do. You heard from, if you weren't here, we're going to be doing another extensive training when it comes to products that we created at Opulence Global to give you the best of the best. And David talked a little bit about some of the key factors of why the products that we create are different and are unique. And since I got both of you gentlemen on the line with me tonight, I do want to just share quickly some of the products that are coming out, and then I'm going to go to some of your questions. And David, if I can get you to just unmute this part of it. I know you've just sort of been taking notes.
Yes.
And oop, one second.
Oh, there I am. Sorry. Yes, I've been taking notes tonight.
I lost your video for a second.
Oh, hold it.
There we go.
Sorry, I'm being challenged tonight. Sorry.
There we go. So we already talked a little bit about this, but ladies and gentlemen, this is of course our amazing Fairy Flawless deodorant that is going to be coming out. David, talk to me quickly about this, and then we're going to go to the toothpaste, and then I want to go to Q&As with Carl.
Well, the big thing about this, thank you, Sanaz and everyone. The big thing about our deodorant is that we don't have any aluminum or aluminum salts in it. And if we take a look what antiperspirants are all about, is to stop us from sweating. And when it's doing so, it's blocking our pores, but even more so, there's a correlation between a number of issues with aluminum in products. Aluminum is not necessary in our body, so there's no use for it. But the thing is that it's alarming to think that in terms of how women use it, especially women, they discovered that there's a higher incidence of breast cancer, and they think it was tied to, of all things, shaving your armpits and then using an antiperspirant. So it's really important for everyone to understand that we've got something that's completely safe. And of course, being aluminum free, we're not, if you have a child who is developing body odor at a younger age, you know, even a child of 11, 12 years old, you know, you don't want to introduce them to aluminum products right away. And this is a product that just doesn't mask the odors, but it takes away the bacteria that causes the odors. So I think we have something very unique and something very safe. It's paraben free. It lacks all these other types of things like formaldehyde, which are preservatives, oxyquinoline sulfate, excuse me, or zinc sulfur carbonate. Now, these are issues that are coming up with the type of formulations that are out there, as well as petrolatum. Petrolatum is also seen in the stick format. And so it's a bit of a problem. And something that's always disconcerting. But we have a product that actually addresses the bacteria, that addresses it very safely over time. And again, people are going to ask, how long does it last? It depends on how much you really sweat. Some people don't sweat that much. Like myself, if I put it on, it could last a month, quite honestly. But for some people, it could last only a day, or sometimes even a little less if they're working out, or it's a very hot day. But it's a very, very effective, safe product, and I think you know, we should always be very pleased with having the first Microsilver deodorant out on the market in North America.
Yeah. So one of the things I do want to reiterate as well, ladies and gentlemen, is some of you wrote in the message box, you know, how long will the deodorant last on my body? And I'm going to just give you my personal response, and then I'll get sort of Carl and David to piggyback on their response. But I think it just really depends on your own body and how much you sweat. David said it briefly, but you know, I know that sometimes my girlfriends and I, we wear the same deodorant. Some of us love it. Some of us, you know, it doesn't work as well on us, just depending on how much we sweat. Some of us have to apply it multiple times throughout the day, and you have to put it in their purse. Like for me, I put it on in the morning and then I'm good all day. Now, of course, I've switched over to ours, and you know, I got to tell you, with using our deodorant, it has absolutely changed my life. I love it. I love it. I love it. And if you were at the conference, you had the chance to pick it up and purchase it and use it. And I hope that you're all seeing phenomenal feedback. But I'm going to get David and Carl to kind of piggyback on that. You know, how long should a deodorant really last on someone's body?
Yeah, I think you're right, Sanaz. It all depends on the individual. I mean, for sure, once in the morning, and then maybe if you're going to go out at night again, I would definitely consider reapplying it. But it should last for the work day. If you're taking a break in the middle of the day and doing sports, then obviously, you know, reapply after that as well. Maybe in some of the hotter countries, you would reapply it more often. It's a little bit colder up here in Canada. So.
We're going into winter officially.
Yeah.
The one thing to recognize is the type of packaging that we chose is something that's very transportable. It's good for carry-on luggage, as well as so if you're traveling by air. But the other thing to know is that you can throw it in a purse or briefcase quite easily, and it depends on your level of activity. That will dictate exactly how much deodorant that you will use. But again, it's very effective over time. It's something that's just not masking a smell, which most deodorants do. And so you're going to find that this is a very effective, easy to use product. It's an outstanding product, and you should be, like I said, very happy with this.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I love it. I'm so excited about it. All right, so just coming up, let's talk quickly about the toothpaste. I know this is an exciting one as well. David, quickly, I know Carl's already gone through sort of the nitty gritty of the Microsilver. By the way, Now, one thing that we use Microsilver in any products that I use the Microsilver, I will always add that touch of the silver into it. For example, one of the primary ingredients of our Microsilver Protection fluoride-free toothpaste is done in silver. As you can see, our deodorant bottles, as you can see, are done in silver, even if they have that silver neck trim around it as well. They will say Microsilver Protection on it for her or for him. So they'll make sure that they're properly labeled as well. So David, just reiterate that for me a little bit.
Yes. Well, this is a really, really interesting product. It is fluoride free. And for those people that aren't familiar with this, there's a lot of controversy over this because, you know, the companies, the dental profession, everything is sort of hidden a lot of the information about fluoride and some of the impact it does have. And as we read further and further on it, there are some potential issues with fluoride, like fluoridosis. We're talking about, of all things, which surprised me, is things like even diabetes as a cause for fluoride. And so it raises alarm bells with this. So we created something that's completely fluoride free because there's no effective non-fluoride type of products out there. There are some well-known brands, but again, they say that it doesn't work very well, but they're certainly safe. We wanted something that was safe, that worked. We have a mucosa-safe formulation, meaning that you can put on your gums if you have an inflamed gum. It's interesting because of the microsilver that's deposited on your gums overnight will start helping it calm down. And so this microsilver, it creates a depot within your mouth. And again, it gives you long-lasting protection against bacteria that can lead to breath issues and other dental challenges. So bacteria, again, becomes a very big issue in terms of our oral health and our oral care. And because of the microsilver, it works effectively. This does not mean we do not have to brush our teeth, though. Doesn't mean we can just spread it around our mouth. We do have to brush it. We have to take off as much of that dental calculus as possible. And there is a physical motion that you do have to do, and you have to take the time to do it. But you don't need a huge glob of toothpaste any longer. You use a reasonable amount. You spread it around your mouth. If you have a child that is using a toothpaste, they should not be using a fluoride toothpaste. According to the FDA, it is a poison. If they should swallow it, you're supposed to call the Poison Control Center, which I bet you not many people, including myself, and I raised a son by myself, and I did not realize that, so I feel terrible that happened. I know he didn't swallow anything, but again, you don't want to expose him to that. And it's something that you should realize. And there's so many risks that are been brought forward, and so many things that they're now accusing the dental profession of hiding, including things like, why are they showing big swirls of toothpaste on a toothbrush when in fact every toothpaste tube will say use a pea-sized amount?
So David, I want to talk a little bit about that because
Yeah.
we know that there's a lot of hidden messages, and I want to talk a little bit about that quickly as we are getting to the end of our call. So when it comes to fluoride, we have a fluoride-free toothpaste, and I know that has been controversial a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about that quickly. You know, when it comes to, we already talked a little bit about it, but I just want to reiterate a couple quick things as I go through these slides with me.
Yeah, well, when we talk about issues, especially in children, so if you've got a child brushing your teeth, which we encourage them to do, if you have a fluoride toothpaste with them, you are possibly discoloring their secondary teeth. It's called dental fluorosis. You're going to get spots all over it. They could develop stomach ailments, acute toxicity, impairment in glucose metabolism, and that what we're talking about is diabetes and insulin resistance, and that has been proven. And so, you know, we're talking about stomatitis and things like that, you know, perioral dermatitis, which is sort of a rash around your mouth, or these sorts of sores around your mouth, which is stomatitis. And it's not happening just in children, it's happening in adult females between 20 and 50. And so something to be careful of. You know, when we're talking about toothpaste tubes, when we read that carefully, and it's right there in plain sight, and something that most people ignore. We don't realize that it tells you not to swallow. Use a pea-sized amount. And if you do swallow it, you're supposed to go call your poison control center. And there's a poison warning that the FDA has mandated since 1997. And I bet you very few people really see that, because I didn't see that till I started into this project. And it was rather shocking to see what sort of things are out there hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that this was something that was the big shocker for us, that says if you accidentally swallow more than you use for brushing, seek professional help or contact the poison control center immediately. And this was something that we sort of shook our heads at the office and talked a little bit about, a lot about actually, because we were debating whether to put fluoride in it or not. And so marketing for toothpaste for kids, talk to me a little bit about this, David.
Well, that's, the other thing is we still, you know, they encourage kids to obviously brush, which is a good thing, but we don't talk about it. You know, we put it in, they put it in candy flavors, cartoon packaging, they have fun characters. And then if you take a look at the way that they advertise, it's always a big swirl of toothpaste. Whenever you see it from one end of the toothbrush to the other, and they're encouraging to use a lot of it, but that encourages children to possibly swallow it. And there's no one, I've never seen any warnings on TV. I've never seen any warnings by dental professionals or the toothpaste manufacturers out loud saying, do not swallow this product. So there's a lot of issues. You know, I was talking about stomatitis as a possible issue. You know, they're showing that ulcerative lesions from fluoride dental care have shown consistently, you know, in a study from Douglas in 1957 and again in 2004, it's very consistent that this does happen. So this is not just an accident over time. It's just that it happens with fluoride in their toothpaste.
So what was really amazing about this, and when you showed me this, the studies showed that 133 patients that range from 3.5 years old to 92 years old, this is crazy, developed lesions from fluoride dental care, and that's absolutely mind-boggling when you actually read this research.
It starts to explain some of the issues that some people have a propensity, and there are people that I've met, I know, like one of them is my sister, who has a propensity to develop, you know, canker sores, and I think it could be from her toothpaste now. So
Sure.
Again, you know, early onset of diabetes, they started finding out that these rats that took in fluoride toothpaste from very low levels, meaning that if we look at what a child would normally swallow, which is much higher, children routinely ingest much more, but these rats would ingest toothpaste and discovered that they had decreased levels of insulin with significantly higher levels of glucose in their blood. It's indicative of insulin resistance and an early onset of diabetes. And that, if anything, is just simply shocking.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, I do want to reiterate that, you know, for us, we want to educate you based on our research and what our reason was to be able to do a fluoride-free product. So I do want to reiterate that a little bit as, you know, when it comes to Opulence Global, the development, the creation, choosing a product, we want to really give you products that are safe for you, safe for your family, and of course, we want you to use it. And I want to answer some of your questions and read over some of your comments, and I do have a little treat for all of you at the end of the call. So I know we've gone a little bit over, so I do want to just quickly go over them. With Carl, I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
So someone says, you know, based on the deodorant, I guess due to the tropical nature of the heat in the Caribbean, I should reapply the deodorant multiple times. And the answer is probably yes.
So it also depends if you tend to sweat. Some people don't sweat that often, so it really depends on your own. And you know, it causes us to really look at our bodies, and it's a good thing to take an assessment of how we treat our bodies and what we're doing.
Sure. So Kelly actually writes, I've been using the deodorant that I got at the conference and simply love it. I went dancing for hours, and despite the fact that I would sweat, there was no bad odor whatsoever. Very happy with it so far. That's amazing feedback. Thank you so much for that. Nora writes, almost instant relief with swollen gums as I experienced it at the conference. It was unreal. Nora's talking about, of course, our toothpaste using a Microsilver. How soon will they be available to order? Vernisha asked. Well, I'll let you know. Can we put that last slide up again? I don't know which one you're talking about. Could you bring, this is, by the way, this is one of the very rare calls that I did record, and I am gonna make it available to all of you so you can go out there and re-listen to it over and over, share it with your organization, because of course, having our Microsilver Carl on the call is a blessing. So I will definitely share that with you. So I'm gonna just go to some of the questions that I do that came in privately, Carl.
Okay.
Is there a maximum safe limit for Microsilver contents? I don't know. Does that make sense? Is there a max, I guess, in our formulation that we would use? Is that what you're asking?
I can answer that. I can answer that. Yeah, so I mean, the microsilver can be used at very high levels, even up to 1%. That's what it's stipulated at. Some of our wound care products, when you go into deep, severe tissue wounds, almost down to seeing the bones, some people are using it in products up to 0.5%. So for sure, it's completely safe, even at higher dosages. I think the highest might be 0.8%, but again, these are like severe medical grade burn victims that would be treated in a hospital. So the silver itself is highly, highly safe, and can be used in deep tissue wounds. But that's not to say that if you have a massive cut, you should put one of the microsilver products on there, because there might be other ingredients that are not really meant to go into deep tissue wounds, other ingredients in the products. So the silver itself, completely safe.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Someone writes, can we have these slides in our back office to print? The reason I did this as a recording, ladies and gentlemen, is because sometimes when we try to repeat what Carl has just taught us, we will make mistakes. Even I do. I can't even pronounce half the stuff that he says, or David. So what I've done is I've recorded tonight's call, so all of you will be able to get a chance to re-listen to it over and over, re-educate yourself, maybe share it with a prospect, brand new team member that's joining your organization. Remember, sharing is caring, right? So another question comes in, Carl, how does the antibacterial properties of Microsilver compare with the antibacterial properties in FOL? I think they're very different. I'm gonna kind of get Carl to answer that, and I'll get David to piggyback on that as well.
Sure. I think the FOL products are, you're talking about the Fountain of Life product that you're consuming, and that is based on the spruce extract, which is to be ingested, and then that goes throughout your body and has an effect. The microsilver, even if it has a large particle, even if you would swallow the whole microsilver, it would basically pass through your system and come out the other end. Because of the large particle, it will not go into your digestive tract and be taken up. So it's completely different. Microsilver is really geared towards topical skincare or deep tissue wounds without migrating further throughout the body. And that's the key difference between the Fountain of Life. That's meant to go throughout your body. You drink it, you consume it, it's ingested. Microsilver is not.
David?
Yeah, further to what Carl was saying, the microsilver is an incredibly effective antimicrobial, and its mode of action is very different. When we take a look at what the Picea aedes extract really does, is it prevents bacterial growth. And when it's used topically, when we talk about antimicrobial on the skin, is preventing E. coli, Staph aureus, Pseudomonas, all these other types of pathogens from proliferating on the skin within the formulation itself. It's very effective, whereas microsilver is a little more active in taking it down. What it's doing is affecting I believe the transport mechanism of the bacteria, causing it to perish. So there's two different modes of action. Microsilver is a much more active antimicrobial in that aspect, whereas Fountain of Life really shows its impact as something as a preservative to kill potential pathogens that might cause issues.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Carl, I have a question for you. I've suffered from dermatitis all my life. and it's become a burden. When I play sports, my head tends to overheat like a radiator, and I get very itchy and it gets irritated. Can the microsilver help my scalp?
I think you could definitely try the Quad AG night serum on your scalp and see what happens. I do know for sure that there are anti-dandruff shampoos with the microsilver, and there's also what's called a leave-in hair treatment with microsilver for people with dry, itchy scalp, and who also might have dandruff as well. So you can definitely use it on your scalp. I don't know if how the other ingredients might or might not affect your hair. In my case, it wouldn't really matter. I don't know about yourself. But anyways, it's worth a try. It definitely should at least help with the bacteria-related issues on your scalp.
And one other thing, David, maybe you could just quickly talk about. I think one of the things that we have with the new Posh body wash and the shampoo, that has also got the element of the Fountain of Life extract, the spruce tree extract that's in there as well. That's very good for dandruff, and you're the expert. I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things we did add were antioxidants from the acai berry, as well as a Picea abies extract, which is in the Fountain of Life, along with hydrolyzed silk. And so when we took a look at these items, we wanted to strengthen the hair, improve our scalp health, and reduce the bacteria that causes issues, some of the fungi that causes issues as well, especially when it comes to things like dandruff issues and everything. It does impact it. The big thing that you do have to be aware of is that you got to let it work. So the problem is a lot of shampoos is you put in the product and then you wash it off within two minutes. So you got to let it sit for a while, let it do its work, and then rinse it off. Again, to double that up, we put in the conditioner as well. So you're not just conditioning your hair, but you're actually improving your scalp and your scalp health at the same time. So we took a look at trying to create products that are synergistic with our health to reduce the bacteria that causes issues. And it was simple as that. And I think we're going to be able to meet that goal in helping many people.
Okay. So what I'm just going to do, gentlemen, is I'm just going to wrap up the call and just end the recording, and then I'm going to continue to share some other stuff that's not recorded. So just bear with me 1 second. So ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who tuned in, I want to thank you for watching this recording. Please feel free to share this, of course, with your team and brand new past prospects to share the power of our amazing Microsilver products. I want to thank, of course, our speaker, Carl, our Microsilver BG expert that joined us tonight, of course, David O, our regulatory affair, for being on the call with us as well and sharing his expertise. And thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A pleasure answering your questions, and always available if there's any further questions. Thank you.